Welcome to Legacy Conversations, recorded right here at the barn on Collimer Road. I'm your host, Mark Modulewski. Our mission, to educate, inspire, and entertain. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. Colleen, welcome to Legacy Conversations.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. It's a bit like, I feel like we've rescheduled this several times.
We have, but there's nowhere I'd rather be than here on a Friday afternoon.
That is the first lie of the podcast.
Western New York.
Yeah, it's beautiful sunny.
It is.
It's finally warm, and we're inside on a Friday afternoon doing a podcast.
We are.
Which just shows you the commitment.
Whose commitment?
Yes, both of our commitments
Okay.
to this whole thing,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Yes.
It's cool. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah. What are we going to talk about?
That's a good question, what we're going to talk about. So for the last several podcasts, I've started with like some sort of background. So I was thinking this morning, I'm like, when was the first time I actually met Colleen? Like, not when I first like shook your hand at some ag meeting, but when did I actually first meet you? Do you remember?
Is this a trick question?
Nope, it isn't.
I mean, it had to be in a NIAC meeting.
It was either a NIAC or an Ag Society meeting, something like that.
Yeah,
I think it was at a NIAC meeting.
probably a NIAC.
Because you were on the board?
I was. Those were fun times.
Yes, and I was on the board.
Yes.
And I think that's where we met.
Yes. That's right.
And I feel like after that, one of my earliest memories was your little girl had like a pigtail and a little shirt at the fair with her little jeans, and she was going in, and I was in there with her as she was like feeding a calf.
Yes.
And Harley was like 11 or 12 or something like that, but she was a little girl.
Yes.
At the time. Now she's in college, so
is.
she's not quite as a little girl anymore.
She's doing different little girl things now.
Exactly,
Like
100%.
joining a sorority.
Oh my gosh.
Those type of things.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to know about that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, that's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's a totally different podcast.
Or make it more viewers.
Yeah, way more. Way more. So tell me about you. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Wyoming County. I grew up on a dairy farm
Yeah.
that my parents are still operating today, my brother. So, my background is very firmly in the dairy industry.
Yep.
And never in a million years would I have thought that I would end up working for corn and soybean farmers.
Yep.
Although I definitely thought that I would be working in agriculture. It's just the path to where I am now was not expected.
Wasn't a straight line. Yeah.
Not even close. Not even close.
So you grew up, did you go to Perry High School?
I did. Mm-hmm.
So you went to Perry High School, you're in Perry School District, and so
Yes.
did your kids,
Yes.
and then did your parents as well?
My dad did.
Your dad
Yep.
did. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is kind of neat. So you grew up in Perry, and then where'd you go? What happened after high school?
Oh boy.
I mean, you don't have to tell
Like
us.
the short version,
The short
or
version.
the
Yeah, what's the
entertaining
abbreviated
version?
version?
We'll
Yeah,
be
whatever,
here
somewhere in between there.
all week. So I had a difficult time leaving high school and going to college because I was at a place where there were things that I think people expected that I should be doing, and I felt like that I should be doing, and what I wanted to do, and those things didn't line up.
Yeah.
And it was a really difficult time, and I've not talked very transparently about that for a long time, or maybe ever really, because it was embarrassing what happened to me, I felt like. But now that I have kids that are going through it and other people, I really wish that more people were honest about their path, and that their path doesn't always, it's not always perfect. Like you said, it's not a straight line, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to end up in a good place.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't mean that if you make mistakes or you blunder along the way that's normal.
Yeah.
That's very normal, and I don't think people talk about that enough. So I wanted to do what I thought I wanted to do, what what Harley is doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to school to study animal science. I wanted to go to vet school.
Yep.
I wanted to go to Cornell. Obviously, none of that happened because I'm doing something very different than that now. And it all worked out for the best. But I didn't go to the college that I thought I wanted to go to. I stayed closer to home. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I did excel at having fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I was super good at that. I'm still good at having fun.
Absolutely.
But that didn't really translate into career goals so much right off the bat. But a year after I started college at Brockport, I started working for a company that sold cheerleading apparel in Geneseo, New York.
Really?
Yes. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I didn't even know that was a job.
That's what people say about the job I have now.
Yeah, true.
So I've had a lot of jobs that people don't know were jobs. So I didn't do so hot my freshman year of college, and my parents were like, I think you should probably get a job, which actually I loved working. I loved making money. I felt like at 19 years old, I had more money than any of my friends that I knew. I was working at this customer service and sales job for this company called Team Cheer. I got to travel a lot. I know, fast forward, shocking, right?
Yeah.
I loved that. I loved meeting people. I loved that whole thing. And so that was something that happened out of, you would say failure, but was it really failure when I'm learning all these things?
Lots of things.
So, I guess fast forward a little bit, I was there for 5 years or 6 years while I was still kind of dabbling in going to school, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had my first daughter while I was there, and then my second daughter came along 2 years later, and, had some other changes in my personal life, and kids change you.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Kids change you, and they can, I got really focused and intentional, and I was living at my parents' farm. I was living in a house on the farm with the kids, and I was like, I really got off course in terms of my goals and how I was raised and what I really wanted to do, which was work in ag. There was a period of time, I think, after I graduated high school where you're young and stupid, and I just wanted to get as far away from what I thought I was, growing up on the farm as possible. I didn't want anything to do that. But then I finally realized, that really was what I was meant to do. So I had to go back to school when I was 27. I didn't have to, but I made the choice to go back to school when I was 27 with 2 toddlers. And I drove to Alfred for 2 years to get a degree in ag business, and then did another 2 years as a combination of online and some independent study with cooperative extension in Wyoming County. From there, I had an opportunity to work for the USDA Farm Service Agency in Wyoming County. I worked there for nearly 6 years. Am I rambling or should
No, you're doing great.
Okay.
I'm interested. I want to know.
That out. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there will be no cutting of anything out.
Okay.
It has to go really wrong for us to cut something out.
So I worked there for nearly 6 years, and I was at the point there where I was ready for something different. I had learned a lot there. I loved working with the farmers in Wyoming County. Got to know every farmer that comes through the door to sign up for programs. But there were areas, in working for the government that you are restricted from. You have to do things very much by the book. There's not a lot of room for, well, this is a new way to do something.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do this. It's, very, very by the book. Not a lot of room for independent thinking, I think.
You can't be creative.
You can't be creative. I am a very creative person. I like to figure things out. I like to problem solve. I like to do all of that stuff. And that was one thing that for me was a struggle there. So I was trying to figure out what my next move was, whether it was another job within the USDA or somewhere else. I really didn't know where I wanted to go from there. And I had formed a friendship with a grower who came into the office, an older man. His name was Bill Jenkins. He was one of my favorite.
Tell me what grower means.
Oh, grower? Grower of crops. So
Okay.
he was.
Yep. So he was a farmer.
He was a farmer. Sorry,
Yep.
yeah, industry lingo. He was a farmer. Didn't have animals, so he didn't have livestock, but he was a cash crop farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody loved Bill because
Yeah.
he would come into the office. He would way overstay his welcome
Sure.
with his stories, and he had all sorts of stories about his travels. He traveled a lot. He skied into his, all the way to the end, really. And he water skied, he downhill skied, he traveled everywhere. He would tell us stories about his children, and his children were extremely successful and had interesting careers. And I just thought, I just loved him. He was, and spent a lot of time talking with him. And he was so interesting. We actually had, now that I was thinking about that this morning, we had an article on the wall of him, and I believe it was from him taking a trip to China with, I think it was maybe with National Corn Growers. I don't know. I wasn't paying a lot of attention at the time, other than I knew we had a clipping of him and his travels on the wall. So one day he came in and we were chatting, and he said, "Hey, how would you like a new job?" I was like, "What?"
Recruiting while you're at work.
Yeah, while I'm at. Yeah, this was the kind of guy he was, right? He did not care. I was literally at my job.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Would you like a new job?" I'm like, "This feels wrong, but
is this
okay.
the right time?
What's the job?" And he said, "Well, the corn and soybean growers are looking for an executive director." I don't know what that means.
Right.
I've never even
Yeah.
heard of that. I mean, I knew about the corn growers.
association,
I
yeah.
knew a little bit about that. I knew he was involved. I knew he traveled a lot, and that was cool. But as in terms of the job or what that even meant to run an association,
Right.
I had no idea. But he said to me, he's like, "Listen, you can stay here." Also, he said this to me while I was at my job, but you can stay here and it'll be safe and it'll be great, but you're never gonna have the experiences that you would be able to have if you take this job.
Yeah.
You will meet people that you never even imagined you would meet. You'll be able to go places and all these things. And I thought, well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, because how old are you at this point?
35-ish, 35-ish, right?
Yeah.
So my kids were old enough then, so
They're in school anyway.
right. So
Yeah.
there were not of those super stressful years when they're really young. They're more independent, can do more stuff on their own. There was still a lot of unknowns, though. I
Sure.
was newly divorced, so it was like this government job is very safe for me.
Yeah.
Regular hours, very, very
Consistent paycheck.
consistent
benefits.
Interesting
also.
though, considering everything that's going on now. But
Yeah,
at the time,
currently, yeah.
it was, and yeah, my parents were concerned when I said, "Hey, I'm gonna interview for this job." They were like, "What are you doing?"
Another bad decision.
I know. Here she goes again with these crazy decisions. So, but I did. I applied for the job and interviewed. I had 2 interviews. I really didn't know what I was doing, other than I was excited to be doing
Show
something.
up with a smile. Yeah.
I was super passionate. I always was about working with farmers, figuring things out, doing stuff. I felt like it was a challenge. In where the organization was at the time and where it needed to go. And I felt like, yes, all these things that I've been wanting to do, figure stuff out, make stuff better, make a difference, was right there before me.
Yeah.
And so I took the job.
So you took it.
And that was 10 years ago.
So for folks who don't know, so you're the executive director of the New York State Corn and Soybean Growers Association.
That's what they
And
tell me.
That's what they tell you. And some people probably don't even know that organization, or really it's kind of like almost 2 organizations that it exists.
Yes.
So tell me about the organizations.
Yes. You're right. Most people don't know, and if I'm asked, a lot of times when I'm traveling, I hate when somebody asks, "Well, what do you do for work?" I'm like, "Well, here comes a
Here
45
we
minute
go. Yeah.
conversation," and I had a hard time for a really long time explaining to people what I do, because
Yeah.
anyone who works for a nonprofit or in this type of role will tell you you're a multi-doer, wearer
Yeah.
of many hats, a lot of things. So it took me a really long time to succinctly be able to tell people what I do. But ultimately, the role is facilitating. You're a facilitator of all the things that the organization needs. So whether it's advocacy work, whether it's an event, whether it's a meeting, board governance,
Education.
research,
et cetera,
it
yeah.
doesn't mean that you personally are doing all of those things. I'm
Right.
not an expert. People ask me questions all the time, and it's like, no, I'm not an expert. I'm not an agronomist per se.
Right.
So please do not call me with your specific, but I can help you. I know all of the people who you can talk to.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you do have that question, if a farmer has that question or industry person, I am moving all of the parts all of the time. And so the organization itself, it is basically three organizations under one roof.
Okay.
We have the two commodities, so we have
Yep.
corn and soybean. Both of those commodities have separate advocacy arms. So nationally, we work with National Corn on federal policy. We work with the American Soybean Association on federal policy for those two commodities. And then we also, the lion's share of what we do is we administer the soybean checkoff in New York.
Yep.
So the checkoff is a farmer-developed, farmer-funded program in which we are able to fund promotion and research and education efforts on behalf of growers.
Soybean growers. Okay.
So soybean growers, yep.
All right. So we're going to go down that road here in a second.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So the Corn and Soybean Growers Association, there's people who can join those association, right,
Yes.
where they have dues.
Yep.
And generally speaking, you need to be in the production of corn to join the corn one.
One would think, but
Yeah.
hey, we're not going to, I
But
won't
if you
turn
want to
away.
join, it's
Yeah.
fine. And then soybeans for soybeans.
Yes.
And then there's the soybean checkoff, which we'll figure out what checkoff is here in a second. So tell me about, not every corn grower grows or is in the Corn Growers Association.
Right.
Not all soybean growers are in there.
Right.
So which ones tend to be part of it? Which ones tend not to be part of it? Why did somebody join? Why does somebody not join?
Well, I can tell you a lot about the ones that do.
Yes.
That do join.
Yeah.
They are generally farmers who are progressive. They're generally farmers who want to see some level of change, whether it's in regulation or otherwise. They're usually very involved and I would say forward thinking about a lot of things. They're interested in research. They're interested in technologies, new technologies. They're interested in new markets and all manners of ways that we can improve all of those things that I just mentioned. And they have had some experience with our organization at some point in time that has been positive.
Yeah.
I think one of the unspoken benefits is the friendships and relationships that are built.
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, well, we fund research and that's great. Yes, we do. And it is great. But it's harder to put a value on the relationships when I see two farmers or a group of farmers at our events who are really connecting over something.
Yeah.
They have that time. We've had an unbelievable amount of discussion around how much time is enough time for farmer socializing at our events.
Right.
Is it a 2-hour lunch, an hour and a half? They just love that. That is a value that we are providing, an opportunity for people to get together and connect. And I think that definitely over the last 5 years, and we're probably heading into another time when that connection is really important. When red flags start coming up about farmer mental health and well-being, And it drives me nuts to no end when you see some of the traditional resources that are available. Well, if you need help, ask somebody.
Right. Or call this number.
Call this number. No,
Yeah.
no one's doing that.
No.
I know for myself personally, at some of the low points in my life, when I look back on them, I wasn't calling anybody because
Right.
I didn't even know
Right.
how bad the situation was. So when we provide an opportunity for growers to come together and talk and really just talk about like, hey, maybe things are good, or you're sharing good, positive things, or you're
Right.
like, hey, I'm really worried about input costs, or I'm worried about these markets. And somebody says to you, I am too.
Yeah.
Just that shared.
Kind of takes some weight off your shoulders.
Totally takes the weight off of you, just to know that I'm not the only one going through this, positive or negative, happy times or good times. Somebody else is going through this with me, and I'm not alone, and I can come here and have that conversation. I think that is a way bigger benefit that all farm groups or any group that provides a platform or an area for humans to be humans.
Yeah, to connect.
That's a way bigger benefit than anything that I could outlay as a.
Because it's developing community, right? So,
Yes.
So yes, both arms have an advocacy arm where state and federal policy, they are acting on the behalf of the grower and the farmer, and that's important because there's lots of things that happen from folks in power, and they don't turn over the soil, so they're not 100% sure.
Right.
So there's an advocacy effort. Farmers are growing more with less, right? And that's that research, right? So people say, well, you grow corn, it's no big deal. But the way in which we grew corn 30 years ago is totally different than the way we grow corn now. And part of that's through research and experimentation. There's the education piece, right? So you can go somewhere and somebody will talk your language to figure out what fertilizer when and how deep to set your tile and how far to space your seed and all that type of stuff. But the other part is it builds a farming community, because farmers in the past would be, well, I wake up, I do my work, I go to sleep, I wake up, I do my work, I go to sleep. So unless some salesperson showed up, they didn't have much interaction with other farmers. Maybe if they sold something to another farmer. But here, now they can get together intentionally to kind of connect with each other.
Yeah.
Which is good. Just cool.
Well, it just reminds me of I have a favorite case study very close to us.
Okay.
About this. Near and dear to us, our president, Tom Corcoran, is an Instagram star.
He is.
Right?
Yes.
And it's sort of his...
Levi, you need to find Tom's Instagram and put that up right now. It's called Farming Some Bitch.
Some bitch, yeah.
Some bitch. Farming Some Bitch.
Feels
it's not,
wrong.
Feels wrong to say,
but it's so right.
If you flip through it and actually see what it means, it's a little better. But anyway, so Tommy.
Yes. So his Instagram fame started as somewhat of a joke several years ago when we were together at Commodity Classic. He is a very personable human being, very relatable, makes friends everywhere we go. I could go on for all hours about that. People just like him, and he likes other people. So he started this Instagram, and he just shows his life. He just shows.
He's just real.
He's so real. He's so genuine. He just shows his tractors and his wife and his dogs and what he's working on, and he's not afraid to talk about anything that has maybe gone wrong
good
or
or
right,
bad,
good or bad. Hey, this is what we're doing today, and he just has a really positive outlook on life, and he's not afraid to share, and people love it.
Yeah,
they love it. They love, and they love, I think, being able to watch him and go, oh, there's a guy that's just like me.
Exactly.
He's
very relatable.
He's so relatable. Yeah.
Because I think farmers, just like educators or politicians or doctors or lawyers, like some people, it's hard to talk to them, right?
Yes.
So for years, I would go onto farms and be like, man, that's the guy that owns it. And I'd be like intimidated by that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm a little further in my career, I talk to farmers and like, they're just guys just like us,
Yeah.
right? But now you've got this guy that puts a video, and puts a video out that talks about like, not a great day. You know,
Yeah.
this didn't go right. Corn prices are okay. They're not good. I like this color tractor rather than this color tractor.
Yeah.
And he gets in spirited debates and it's fun. And you talked about commodity classics. So for people who don't understand, there's a meeting
Yes.
where there's
So-
thousands of
so
people that
many
get together,
meetings.
right?
Yeah.
But these people get together to talk about that
Yeah.
because there's a huge industry. In New York, a big part of the New York agricultural industry is the production of corn and soybeans as well as wheat and some other row crops, right? But I don't know if anybody who lives north of the city knows this, but when you drive down the road, drive down the thruway in the middle of July or August, you see corn and you
Corn
see soybeans.
everywhere, yeah.
Corn everywhere.
It is one of my favorite comments, though, and I can't even tell you how many times I've received it when I travel out of state
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tell somebody what I do, and they say, "What? They grow corn in New York?" Like, yes, we're not
We're
New
not
the New
Manhattan.
York that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
While I enjoy my time there, is not where where
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say when I travel and I say I'm from New York, I would say that in the county that I live in, and certainly some of the counties I work in, there's more cows than people.
Yeah, that's
You know, very different, right? So that's not Manhattan, Long Island, Westchester County
Right.
per se. Yeah. Okay, so this Corn and Soybean Association, we get together. There's a whole bunch of things that you do. You have a board that meets, and then there's this whole thing called the soybean checkoff, which is a big portion of what you do.
It is.
Which is a tremendous amount of opportunity and also a tremendous amount of stress, right? So explain
Yes.
to me generally what a checkoff is, and then how the soybean checkoff works in the state of New York.
So the checkoff is sort of the general term that we use to describe an assessment that is
Yep.
paid by the farmer. All the terms of which are outlined in federal regulation.
So it's federal law.
Yes.
Yep.
This one is.
This one is, yep.
So the soybean checkoff is 0.5% of the first sale of soybeans. So you take your soybeans to local elevator, 0.5% of that sale comes to us, and we keep half of it for investment in New York, and the other half of it goes to the United Soybean Board. So
Which
New
is
York,
a federal organization.
yes. So New York farmers are invested in their checkoffs on a national level and a local level.
Okay. So let me break that down for a
Yeah,
second.
okay.
So 50 basis points, half of 1% of the sale that if I produce it and
Yes.
I sell it, I don't consume it, I sell it,
Yes.
right, to someone.
Yes.
It's like a tax on that sale, right, of X dollars that is voluntarily, hopefully, paid.
It's not voluntarily.
I
paid.
understand.
Okay.
It's tracked down by the association. So those dollars come to the association so it can use for research and marketing and
Yes.
promotion and education and,
Yes.
and all of that type of stuff.
To be clear, this is all farmer led,
Yes.
farmer driven.
Yeah.
It is farmers on our board who are making decisions on what to do with that money,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're investing it in research or other programs. So it's farmer dollars being spent for farmers,
Yeah.
by
By
farmers.
farmers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because I've done some work with the dairy checkoff.
Yes.
And then obviously I've done some work with you and the organization with the soy checkoff. And I think the vast majority of Americans don't understand that farmers are actually paying a portion of what their income is
Yeah.
so that they can be better at producing that,
Yes.
right? So if a regular person goes to work and they're a school teacher, they don't take a percentage of their pay and say, I'm going to give it back to someone else, right? They might have a union due or something like that.
Right.
But they're not taking a percentage of their pay and say, hey, you guys decide how do we make teaching better. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
But agriculture is different.
Yep.
Like they want to invest in themselves, and they are doing it.
Most days.
Yeah, depending.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
If times are good, it's like, this is
It
working
was
great.
amazing. Yeah.
If times are not so great, that is when you start to see a lot of sentiment around what are we
doing
What
this?
are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are they doing anyways? And we are in that time right now.
Yeah.
We are in that time.
So, I mean, corn and soy are a commodity,
Yes.
right? So it trades on the commodity market, and prices can fluctuate significantly. And there's all sorts of things in like the hedging world, which we're not going to talk about today because it's too complicated.
We're not going to talk about that ever.
But yeah,
Okay.
but generally, I produce corn, and then we're talking about like the kernels, which is the commodity that people are interested in, not the whole ear like you get at the farm stand, right? And bring it
That's right.
somewhere.
We're not sweet corn. I've had to correct people on that. Sweet
Yes.
corn is considered a vegetable, and although I love sweet corn,
Yeah.
it's not my responsibility.
No, we don't collect on that.
We
It's
do
it's
not.
feed corn, right?
Yeah.
And if you bit into feed corn, you would know immediately.
You would know
that it's not sweet corn.
unless you've never had sweet corn before, and
Yeah.
then you could be fooled. By
I guess so.
Yeah.
So so it's a commodity and the price goes up and down, but the inputs to produce that, as well as the weather and labor, and depending where you are in the country and what your market is, it's it's variable. So you don't really know if I put a seed in the ground whether that was the right day or the right week. You don't know what's going to come out at the end. So there's some uncertainty. Now over a long period of time, it kind of works itself out, right? Because if it didn't,
Theory.
yeah, in theory, if
Yes.
it didn't, there wouldn't be anybody doing it.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is some stress around that because there's a lot of unknowns.
Stress on that, around that. Anytime uncertainty is my new least favorite word because we're using it so much lately. But yeah, anytime there's uncertainty around anything, I think, whether it's commodity markets or your personal life, anything
It's hard.
equals stress.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. One other thing that I wanted to share, because I think it's pretty cool and very unique about you and your organization. Your organization, I did some work with you a long time ago. Your organization interacts with so many other organizations
Yes.
that are there to help the consumer and the grower. And whether it's on the soybean side or the corn side, state, federal, international, I mean, there's dozens and dozens of organizations, fighting's the wrong word, advocating for the farmer and the product.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of those organizations.
Whew. Where should I start? Well, let's start locally. All right. So those are kind of the easy ones. We have supported NIAC over the years, the New York Animal Agriculture Coalition, for what I think is obvious reasons, because we're feeding cows, they're representing cows. It's a natural partnership for our organizations to work together. NEDPA is another one, Northeast Dairy Producers Association. We are working together right now, actually, on the hyalaic soybean market explosion here in New York, because, again, another natural partnership for us to work together. Then we have some unusual relationships or friendships. We have, because of the amount of biodiesel that they use in New York City, New York City's municipal fleet, over the years, our membership with the Clean Fuels Alliance America, which was formerly the National Biodiesel Board, we have a very strong relationship with them. And they and us had formed a relationship over the years with the New York City Fire Department. And we would take legislators, take farmers to the city, show them all the ways that they're using biodiesel in the city. We visit fire departments all the time. So had this relationship. And when COVID happened, everything shut down. You know, I don't have to remind you the story or how it started in New York City, and it was so devastating and affected them before anything else. And at that time, one of my colleagues at National Biodiesel said, "I just feel so helpless. What can we do? We know these people that are working in the fire departments and seeing what's happening." And we were able to put a project together where we funded initiative to provide meals to first responders from various restaurants around the New York City area. So that was just a totally unusual thing. It's such a cool story. After that, there was a lot of follow-up that still happens to this day, actually. on that. And it just really speaks to the power of relationships and
Yeah.
looking outside the box. It always, where it's like, what do you do with the soybean? Well, there's all the,
So
there's
many
all
things.
this other stuff and things that happened because of that. So after that, we actually had those same firefighters come up over the summer, and we had a watch party for the Field of Dreams baseball game at Ralph Lott's in Seneca Falls. And they came and interacted with farmers. They got to drive farm equipment, and you just can't, I mean, you can't beat it.
It's so much more than just
It's so much more than just,
just a corn and soybean association.
Yeah, I mean, those relationships are everything. And going forward, recently they've developed the soybean checkoff has developed a firefighting foam. So there was an issue with the foam that they would use to fight fires had cancer-causing chemicals in it. It was a PFAS issue. So they've developed this foam out of soy flour that firefighters can use in their training to help reduce their exposure to those chemicals.
So it's like, so I know this sounds awful, but you think about it. They had chemicals to fight specific fires. There's phosphorus and some of those things in there that if it's inhaled by a human, it could be bad for them. Not to mention, it's not necessarily biodegradable, right? Like when it goes out there, then it I don't want to say poisons the soil, but it's not where you want it concentrated.
That's right.
So the research takes a renewable thing like soybeans. They're able to take a piece of that, and there's a foam that can be spread on it. It's not toxic, it's organic. And then whenever it goes in and it seeps into a sewer or seeps into something else, it just goes away, right? There's no toxicity left.
Yeah.
And that didn't exist.
No, that did not exist.
Like 10 years ago.
No,
That
it didn't
technology
exist 2 years ago.
Right.
And we have that now. And so...
I've seen buckets of it here.
Oh,
in
yeah,
our
that's
place.
right. I forgot. I forgot I was storing it here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. So, that just takes that relationship that we had to a whole nother level. Actually, that's one of the things I need to speak with you about after this is
excellent.
we need to ship
We need to
those
ship some?
buckets down
Excellent.
to our friend Bill Fitch at the New York City Fire Department. So they're using it. And then the other piece of that story is, and we were able to take some farmers down to Dalton, Georgia last spring as they debuted this product and did a demo on it. A lot of farmers in our rural communities are volunteer firemen.
Yeah.
Right? So that just brings this whole story
It's full circle.
even amazing. Yeah.
Because
full
farmers are
circle.
community people.
They're community people. So
Right.
that you don't really think about that. But we have a farmer on our board who is a volunteer fireman in his community. And that just, to bring that whole story, it's those stories that I love. That's the sort of thing that it's like the passion from the farmers, and for me, that's what keeps me going. It's not arguing over the price of
some chemical or where these should go.
No, it's those stories. And so that's all. Some local, some national. The other things that we are members of the U.S. Soybean Export Council, so they're out in the world, going into other countries, seeing where we can provide soy to developing markets that are looking for that. So as a result of that, I have been able to take some amazing
Pretty
adventures
cool trips,
to go and explore the markets that they're developing and learn about them. And we've had growers that have been able to go. I was most recently in India. Prior to that, we were in Egypt, and there's tons of opportunity for that.
Because soy has proteins and sugars
Yes.
that those third world countries are demanding, and it's a way to get a product that doesn't spoil in the heat. Like if it's kept well and it's kept dry, that you can get some of that nutrition to folks who it's harder to get it, right? They just don't have a grocery store.
Yeah, so that's more like what Wish would do, and
Yeah.
that's we also invest in Wish as well. So they have products, and we were able to tour a plant in Rhode Island called Adesia that makes a soy-based product that is going into countries those are products that are going to malnourished children, for example. So they work on that level. Again, to me, that is a tremendous story. A tremendous humanity story.
There's the human side,
Oh
and
my gosh.
then there's the market side,
Yeah.
right? So there's India has a lot of people, right? That's not
Yes.
that's
That's
just
not a
not,
surprise.
not shocking.
Yeah.
And the more people, the less land,
Right.
and the less land, it's harder to grow crops. So it provides an opportunity for U.S. farmers to provide a product
Yep.
that can get sold
Yep.
there, whether it's for animals or it's for humans. It doesn't really
And a
matter.
lot of times, so in those markets, you're looking at growth in poultry industry. You're looking at growth in aquaculture industry. Dairy in India is a big thing. So
Yeah.
in those markets, you're looking at more feeding livestock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
It's
so
a small world after
it
all.
really
You still have
is.
that
I
ride at
know.
Disney
It's so
World.
neat, but it's interesting because your organization just doesn't focus on stuff between Albany and Buffalo,
No, not even
right?
close.
Not even close.
In fact, I would say that's what sets us apart from some of the other organizations is I probably spend 75% or 80% of my time out of state.
Yeah, and it's all working for opportunities for the greater good
For New
and
York
coming
farmers.
back for the
Yes.
New York farmers. But it's a big, like you said, it's a big small world, right? That's the whole idea, and that's kind of neat. That's really neat. So what's next? What do you think as we kind of get towards the end? What do you think the next, like, forget about policy and challenges. What do you think's the next great thing?
I don't know anything other than challenges.
Yeah, I know. But
This interview's
like,
over.
yeah, we're done. But if you think about it, over the next 4, 5, 10 years, right? Like farms have come so far. Where do you think we're headed?
I mean, there's some truths that we can't ignore, right?
Yeah.
Like, average age of farmer continues to go up.
Yeah.
Farms continue to consolidate and get bigger.
So attracting the next generation or the next two generations to that.
What does that look like? What does that look like on bringing on next generation either staying on the farm or coming back to the farm? In a lot of cases, that's not happening because they either can't or they don't want to. So what do non-traditional partnerships look like for farms? How do they explore that? How do you bring in somebody to your farm who's not your child? I think we are starting to see a lot of that where the trajectory of just passing down generations is starting to look a lot different. So I think that we're going to see a lot of
Consolidation is a big thing across all
huge.
industries,
All
but agriculture's
industries.
not alone there. But scale is going to continue to be a good partner for some farms, right? So
Yep.
if you had 100 acres in the past, you could be a crop farmer on 100 acres. Today, you're not really feeding a family on 100 acres.
No, and then for organizations like ours, that part of our organization is membership driven.
Yeah.
What does that look like? That has to change. And I think that all organizations that are membership based, when
gotta
you're
take a
faced
hard
with
look at it.
you got to take
Yeah.
I mean, the longer that we ignore that and don't find a solution, I think the worse off it's going to be because there are not going to be all of a sudden 1,000 extra.
No.
They're not making more farmers. You know what I mean? It's got to be different. That model has to change in order for success to continue.
Yeah. In our world, I was sitting at a conference and they said that there was somewhere around 30,000 broker-dealer RIAs, like the people that do what we do, invest money. And they thought over the next 10 years, there'd be like 3,000. So if you're membership based,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's several thousand farmers who produce corn and soy in New York, and then 10 years from now, there's several hundred farmers. Well, how does that work? Like,
You're right.
It just doesn't work,
It
right?
just does not
You
work.
can't just say, well, I'll just continue to raise my price every year because that might not work.
Right.
So the model may need to change a little bit. Technology is certainly going to play a role, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Continue to play a role in how it's produced and how it's processed, and how it's stored and how it's used, just like the soy foam, piece. There's some stuff there that we just don't even know what's going to happen. Just kind of neat.
Yeah, I just think you have to have a certain amount of unwavering optimism.
Yeah.
Delusion, one might call that.
Well,
Someday.
yeah.
I kid. Just that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about a lot of stuff during this whole segment about markets declining, prices declining. Is funding going to be available for some of these things that were really good programs? I think at the end of the day, everything will work out. It
Yeah.
may look different at the end of it, but no one is going to, for the most part, even after all of that, farmers still want their farm to be better. You
Yeah.
know, we're still going to try to be better. It just may look how we get there maybe a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the farm in the future will continue to produce products at more of a rate, right? They'll produce more with less, but when you walk in there, it's going to look different, right? The farms are going to look different, land's going to look different, equipment's going to look different, labor's going to look different, and that's scary because it's change, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just kind of the evolution of it.
Yeah.
I'm super glad you came. I don't know if I'll ever get you back in that chair, but I'm hoping that we can pick another topic and talk about it.
Oh,
sometime.
I can't wait to see what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Till next time.